Hey everyone, welcome back to Nick Likes Magic. This is my week 3 roundup. Got a pretty straightforward episode today. I didn't watch any short films and no TV of note, just 7 movies. I did a little bit of catching up on my 2026 movies this week as I plan to do a comprehensive ranking video at the end of the year. Everything I saw, probably after I see Doomsday and Dune Part 3. I'll just cut it off there. I'll stop watching 2026 movies. I'm going to try to get to major releases. There's some that I don't have any interest in, unfortunately. Like, don't think I'm going to see the new Evil Dead movie. I'll make a lot of the big ones work, but yeah, for the most part, I'll have a pretty comprehensive major list by the end of the year. I also, before we get into the actual sort of roundup part of the video, the Letterboxd rankings are coming. I started recording them a couple of times this week, but I couldn't really get my thoughts clear, um, or as clear as I wanted them to be. So I'm going to do a little bit of work on the parameters for each ranking and make sure that it's actually like a legitimate video that is interesting to watch and it's not just me rambling like a lot of these roundups are going to be. So, like I said, 7 movies this week. I will get to all of them and let you know my thoughts. The first movie that I watched this week with my fiance was Project Hail Mary, and pretty much the whole time I was watching it, I was just thinking about how pissed I was I didn't get a chance to see it in theaters. I lost my job sort of the week of my birthday, and we had a chance to go to a local drive-in theater to see Project Hail Mary and the Super Mario Galaxy movie. But we decided, what with my birthday being that weekend, that we had sort of a too busy schedule. So we decided not to go on a Friday night and just stayed home, which up until right now, I had regretted deeply. I still regret it because I think seeing this movie on any big screen would have been pretty special. It's a gorgeous movie that I am going to come right out and say lives up to the hype. I gave it a 5 out of 5 in the heart pretty easily. I It was one of those. I'm a huge space movie fan. It's a similar tone to my favorite movie ever, Interstellar. I think Interstellar doesn't I think Project Hail Mary overstays its welcome just a bit, maybe by like 10 minutes, but it's very close up there. I think I'd probably say second favorite space movie that I've ever seen. Not having a list of them in front of me or anything. I'm just thinking of maybe big movies, space movies, maybe third behind 2001. But it doesn't really matter. We're splitting hairs here. There's a lot of really incredible space movies. I thought a lot of what it was trying to say, a lot of people call it hope core. I would agree with that. I think Ryan Gosling is incredible. Cold take of the year. I loved his dynamic with Rocky the Alien. It takes a real special talent to dominate a screen for as long as Ryan Gosling did by himself. And then scenes where he was with other actors were also very impressive. He was shining. Sandra Hüller, very good. I'm excited for her in Digger. I know she has another major release coming out this year. She's going to end up having a big year. I don't have any notes aside from maybe it's a little long. I didn't think it needed to be. It was like 2.5 hours, little long for a couch movie. Again, I probably wouldn't have that criticism if I saw it in the theater, which is kind of on me. And I think I corrected it by giving it a 5 stars and the heart. So will definitely be a rewatch. It is to see if it cracks the top 10 for me. I'm a sucker for space movies, but we will see. But for right now, up there in the best movies of the year for me so far. After Project Hail Mary, I had kind of a big 2 days where I watched 5 movies. The first movie of this 2 day stretch that I watched was Lee Cronin's The Mummy, which I thought was okay. I gave it a 2.5 out of 5, which in my rankings, which I will explain in a little while, is a little bit below average. I thought it was a good, maybe I think it came out in April of this year, so not quite a summer horror movie, but it fit that bill really well. I learned what a split diopter shot was. I apologize if it's diopter, but I have to give it some points for that. I didn't go to film school, so I don't know all of the technical terms for a lot of what directors are doing from shot to shot, from scene to scene. And I think that this movie had a lot of flaws. I think that it wasn't particularly scary, but it was crazy. And you can tell that I mean, the tone that Lee Cronin's The Mummy was going for achieved what it was going for. I didn't hate it. I thought it was somewhat interesting. I think the title is hilarious. I love referring to it as Lee Cronin's The Mummy. I think it's really funny because I mean, Lee Cronin directed Evil Dead Rise, right? That's like his other sort of claim to fame. I mean, does he deserve a Lee Cronin's The Mummy title? No, I don't think so. People like the Evil Dead movies, but I thought it was okay. I mean, like I said, I actually did give it the little heart, as you'll see, or as you saw when I put the rating up. I can't dislike it. It was a wild ride, and I learned something new from it. It's gonna get worse before it gets better. The next movie that I watched was They Will Kill You, which unfortunately didn't work for me almost at all. I gave it a 1.5. And the 1 star is kind of just for some of the interesting camera tricks and angles that were used in some of some of the scenes in this movie. It's definitely a very stylized film, but my biggest problem with it is that the trailers, the marketing, the genre list for this movie was horror comedy, and I didn't find it scary or funny. There's a scene at the end. Um, I'm gonna try to abstain from giving spoilers in these reviews because especially for these 2026 movies, I'm gonna talk more in depth on them at a later point. There's a scene at the end of the movie where Zazie Beetz' character, Asia, lights a pig head on fire and shoots it into an elevator shaft where it falls onto a maid on top of the elevator that it lands on. That I thought was really funny was the one time I laughed in this movie, and that's where the other half star comes from. I think a lot of this comedy boils down to Zazie Beetz just saying swear words at a high volume. I didn't care about any of the characters. They tried to get me to care about the backstory of Asia and her sister, whose character name escapes me right now, and the backstory as to why she had to run away and why she left her sister for so long doesn't check out. And if you've seen the movie, you know kind of what I'm talking about. I get that she fled, but there were witnesses. The fact that she went away is hilarious to me because I don't know that there's any state um, that would make her do that. And then the ending, I didn't care for. Aside from the pig scene, I didn't care for it. I didn't think anybody was very funny. I didn't think anything was that scary. I didn't think it was that interesting. I just thought there was some cool camera work and some shots visually appealing shots. The color palette's pretty nice too. I'll give it that. The scenes with fire are very appealing, and that's all encompassed in that 1 star, and the half star being for the end scene. So, not for me. If you liked it, I'm happy for you. I'm not one of the camp. I put it towards the low end of my 2026 movies. I think I said 1.5. No heart. Even more, it gets worse before it gets better, but we do have some better to end the video on. So just sit with me through this. One more. The Bride, directed by Maggie Gyllenhaal, is one of the worst movies I've seen this year. And it pains me to say that because this year I watched Hamnet and I thought that I had become, you know, a Jessie Buckley fan because she is the star in that movie. She deserved the hype that she got behind that movie 100%. And nobody can take Hamnet away from her. This movie unfortunately blew. It did not work for me at all. She is atrocious in this movie. Christian Bale is okay, and then every other character is not really much of a character. There's a little bit of a sort of backstory about Jessie Buckley's character before she was resurrected as the bride. Every character that isn't Jessie Buckley and Christian Bale are just caricatures. And even Jessie Buckley is a pretty bad caricature. She's actually like three bad caricatures. There are flashbacks where Jessie Buckley plays Mary Shelley communicating with, her name's Ida, or the bride, and it doesn't work for me at all. She is crass. She is the humor from They Will Kill You, but ramped up to 11 and not funny at all. And my review on Letterboxd for this, I can put it up on the screen here. I looked the other way. I can put it up on the screen here. Is that it's like they went for a mix of sort of the introspection of Joaquin Phoenix's Joker and sort of the insanity of Jared Leto's Joker. They succeeded, but in the worst possible ways for both. Because Jessie Buckley comes off as unhinged, but it's not an interesting unhinged. I hate to use this word, but it's cringe. She's trying so hard and it doesn't require it. It's sort of a feminist coded message at the end or towards the second half of the movie. And it just doesn't really work. I can appreciate some of the ideas that went into it, but at the end of the day, this is a movie and it needs to work. And I don't think anything that they did stuck. I don't think anything that they tried to do stuck at all, frankly. So, worse than They Will Kill You, somehow. Really bad 2 movie stretch here. I gave it a 1 and no heart. I hope I never have to watch this one again. The only reason it's not a half star is because the half star is reserved for real bottom of the barrel trash. But this isn't far off. It's actually a shame that so many good names are attached to this movie because it's bad, unfortunately. I like when my film weeks sort of work out like this because we have 3 pretty good movies to round out this video. The first movie I saw a double feature on Thursday was Minions and Monsters, which I pretty much enjoyed. The first half-ish of this movie is very entertaining. It is exactly what so many people are calling it, a love letter to cinema. I agree with that take for at least a while of this movie. Eventually, it does turn into typical Minion slop, but typical Minion slop is in 2026 still fun and enjoyable for an afternoon in the summer. I gave it a 3 out of 5 and the heart. I don't know that I'll ever watch this one again, but I can appreciate the narrative structure of it. I think Trey Parker had some really good one-liners, and there are a lot of good jokes just by everybody who took part in this. A lot of great storylines. There's a bunch of different things happening, and I also love playing around with the implications of the minions because you know they're people, the director, people involved with the movie have given plenty of reasons as to why the minions have never worked with some truly evil individuals in human history. And every one of these movies just reminds me that, like, oh, this group of minions is following their leader while they, and this is a spoiler, but it's a joke. This group of minions is following their leader into support for the women's suffrage movement over, like, the implication of that is funny to me. That didn't go into the rating, really. I just think that some enjoyable parts of watching, of considering, of just thinking about the Minions, but certainly an enjoyable time. I don't I don't know that you need to see it in theaters if you're interested in seeing it. If you want to see it now, see it in theaters. I don't know when it'll stream or where it'll stream, but I think the hype behind it is true. I would agree with it. It is certainly the most enjoyable Minions movie thus far. I mean, I would probably put it third in the whole Despicable Me sort of hierarchy. So, solid movie. The second half of my double feature, we saw The Invite, directed by Olivia Wilde. I didn't see Don't Worry Darling, but I heard that a lot of people didn't like it. I've seen some scenes from it, which sucks because I think that cast is really good, and it's never fun to see a good cast kind of get put to waste. However, I didn't see it, so I'm not going to make any judgments on it. It's not really my type of movie. But The Invite 100% is. This is one of the funniest movies I've seen in a long time. One of the funniest movies of the year, easily. I think this the parameters of this movie are so restrictive, but all four of the main cast, of the cast, being Olivia Wilde, Seth Rogen, Edward Norton, and Penelope Cruz, are phenomenal. Seth Rogen has some of the funniest one-liners in anything I've seen, maybe ever. He is so effortlessly funny in this movie. Olivia Wilde does such a great job of sort of carrying the tension that this movie is supposed to have basically on her shoulders. She is like a nervous wreck throughout this whole movie. And a lot of people are saying it, and a lot of people are right that this is the best Edward Norton has been in a very, very long time. And Penelope Cruz is the best I've seen her as well. My review, I'll put it up right here. All four of the stars have shined as bright as they've ever shined in this movie. You should see it if you're at all interested in movies, if you are at all thinking about seeing it, and take this as the push that you were looking for, as the omen to go and watch this incredible movie. I will likely revisit it in the future. I gave it a crisp 4.5 out of 5 with the heart, and I don't regret it even for a second. The final movie I watched this week, after that 5-movie stretch, I took a couple of days off, finished it out on Sunday with the drama. Good movie. Very good movie. It isn't quite as uncomfortably funny as The Invite is, but it is very uncomfortably funny. I'll come out and say I gave it a 4 out of 5 because I thought that the ending, it built up to something, the thing happened, and then the thing ended. I think that both Robert Pattinson and Zendaya were very, very good in this. I think what prevented it from being a 5-star for me was kind of everything else. Alana Haim was good. I remember when this movie came out, a lot of people were shitting on her character, and she is certainly sort of a pot stirrer, but I found myself grappling with the sort of moral dilemma that this movie is about, as well as so. And I don't want to give this is like the biggest spoiler of the year, where if you know the spoiler going into it, it significantly changes your enjoyment of the movie. I know probably at this point everybody knows what happened, but I I just in case people are like me and they waited to see it until July, even though it came out in like February, and they somehow have avoided film talk and avoided the spoiler, I'm not going to be the guy to do it. I don't. If you're going to get it spoiled, go watch someone making a video essay or something, not some review. I know my tone is kind of like, oh wow, he gave this a 4. Yeah, because I do think a lot of the uncomfortable comedy works incredibly well. Zoe Winters is in this, and this is the second movie I've seen from her The first being The Materialist, where she is a minor character, but she is part of some of the best parts. She is so funny as the photographer in this movie. I mean, and she was really good in The Materialist when she had her little monologue to Dakota Johnson. A lot of the side characters are very good. Things sort of just unravel, and you can feel the tension ramping up. And then, unfortunately, I just think that final sequence at the end maybe falls apart a little bit. And I can buy into everything that happened in this movie, even the end, even though I think it was just a little bit anticlimactic. Because you see in some of the posters, Robert Pattinson's face is all busted up and there's blood everywhere. And that, happens in the movie. I'm sorry to say. You can see it coming, so that's not a huge spoiler. But to me, it was a little underwhelming. They did a very good job of making you uncomfortable for like an hour and 35 minutes. And then the sort of peak comes, and then the movie goes on for 7-ish more minutes, and then it ends. So that's why I took a star off. I still think the vast majority of this, even the underwhelming ending, that's not to say it's bad, just wasn't handled the way that was super effective for me. But everything else about this movie worked. I thought it was a pretty good end to my week, especially given some of the slop. I can't call it slop. Some of the movies that I didn't connect with this week for sure. And I'll likely give it a rewatch at some point. Maybe I'll feel differently in the future, knowing everything that happens. Looks like I have a pretty easy editing job today. No TV, no short films. I'll try to diversify it for you guys this week. Although, if you follow me on Letterboxd in the description, and it's on my channel page, you have no excuse if you see this to not go follow me. I've watched 99 films this year. Granted, some of them are short films, but they count. I logged them. I don't know what I'm gonna do for the 100th movie that I watched this year. It'll probably just be Interstellar, since that's my favorite movie. I love that movie so much, and I have been pining to talk about it and sort of give a specific reasoning for why I love it so much. Maybe I will do it. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll watch like a classic or something. Maybe I'll revisit something from my childhood. I'm not going to think too much about it though, because I need to have something for next week. And if I think about it too much, I'll just not watch anything. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. And if you did, give me a subscribe. It's free. I upload weekly, maybe even more than weekly, because I've got the Letterboxd video coming out. Maybe I'll do more in-depth month reviews where I review the best and worst, maybe the 2 or 3 best, 2 or 3 worst. I don't want to get too deep in the woods, but like I said, I do plan on doing sort of an end of year ranking of everything that I watched. So that's exciting. Although unfortunately, you got to wait like 5 months for that. So it is what it is. But thank you all again for watching, and I will see you next week.